opportunity to talk to somebody who talk about pivoting and talk about somebody who really has to figure out the entrepreneurial work-life balance. This woman is a role model, and I love her dearly. Sister from another mother. Her name is Johanna Gervais. We met. She's a coaching client of mine. She's in the real estate industry, so I will call her a real estate professional. She's located in Texas. She'll give us a little bit more of her backstory and where she is now and where she is headed. And I'm going to let her give herself her introduction. So without further ado, Joanna, it's so nice to have you. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Deb, thank you so much. That was a beautiful introduction, and I'm so honored as well, and I'm so happy to be a guest in your podcast. I can't believe you have a podcast now. Well, wait, I can't believe it because you're amazing and you have so much wisdom. And we did meet through work, but I love that we have developed a friendship, over the time. And I'm just so grateful to be here today. Thank you so much for the invitation.
No, you're welcome. So give a little bit of a story. So when we met initially, you were trying to figure out, I'm going to just give a little bit of a scenario, right?
Yeah.
Put it into context. You have already been and were a real estate professional, and you had a business that was thriving, and you also had an assistant. You also had not virtual, you had an assistant,
Yeah.
and you were looking to grow your business, maybe get it to the next level. And then, so somehow or other, you came into the coaching booth. We interviewed, remember,
Yeah.
at an event. And that's when you decided. And even when I met you at that time, there was there was a lot going on. There was
Yes.
a lot going on in the family, and you did not want to let go of your business. You were persevering, and you were very intent on ensuring that you were focusing on the things that were going to really support you, your family, and you were figuring it out. So,
Yeah.
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 So tell us about where you were.
Yeah, so when we met, I was an individual agent. I had just transitioned back to an individual agent. So when I started my career as a real estate professional, I started as a solo agent. I was Rookie of the Year. And then on my second year, I joined a team who happened to be the number one team the same year that I was Rookie of the Year. So I was like, okay, two number ones can make amazing things, right? And we did. And I was part of a team for 3 years. And after that, I feel like I had served my time in a team, and I learned a whole lot. I grew a lot personally and professionally. And when I was transitioning back to being a solo agent, that's around the time that you and I met. And so I wanted to figure out a way to continue to grow my business and also be able to manage everything that was happening around me and my family. As the oldest in a Hispanic family, there's a lot on my shoulders. I wear a lot of hats, a lot of times by choice, a lot of times by life, right? Because life happens. And so I didn't want to let go of something that I'm so passionate about, which is helping people transform their lives through real estate. That's my passion, but at the same time, I'm very passionate about my family. And that's when you came into the picture.
So when you came into that booth and we first met, we were talking. Do you mind sharing a little bit about what was happening in the background? Because the timing is, a lot of people would have stopped, and the fortitude and the just the self empowerment, and I think your story is unbelievably inspiring. So if you are okay with sharing, I think
Yeah,
really beneficial to a lot of people who are
I
listening.
appreciate that. Thank you, Deb. And sometimes it's hard to to see what's actually happened when you're in the middle of it, right? And at the time that we met, I was in the middle of transitioning to take a bigger role in my family, supporting my dad, um, who was moving. He's been hospitalized since 2020 due to a freak accident, and that really changed the course of our family as a result of that. And he was an independent person walking, and a freak accident happens, and unfortunately he became paralyzed, and that changed everything.
I'm so
And
sorry.
so as a result of that, there was other things that needed attention. And I'm the oldest of three. And most of the time it was my sister and I helping. My brother was supporting when he could. And I was having to travel. At that time, I lived in Austin. My husband and I actually lived in Austin for 10 years. We moved, and we can get to that point a little bit later. But at that point, I was living in Austin, and my family was living in McAllen, which is at the south of in South Texas, right at the border. We call it the Rio Grande Valley. That's where I grew up, and that's where my family lived. So I was having to travel back and forth quite a bit. And traveling and raising two children, I have two small kids. They're 7 and 9 now, and supporting my dad with what's going on, plus continuing to support my family, my husband, my kids. And you can see how everything becomes so big, and everything was too much. And I needed help. I needed help to keep everything going. I needed structure. I needed better, more support, and without I didn't want to let go, but I didn't want to stop either. And so that's kind of what was happening at that time.
Okay. So fast forward a little bit. Thank you for
Yeah.
sharing that. And I know there's, we'll get into even as much detail as you want to share would be wonderful. And if not, then we'll respect your privacy. It's all
I
good.
appreciate that. Yeah.
So you fast forward a little bit. We're working together, and I remember going through SOPs,
Yes.
and then delegating, and then setting
Yep.
them up, showing agents, and then how
Yep.
we right. So when one of the things that I remember most with you is that you wanted things to be done professionally, and
Yeah.
you have a very clear vision of the way that you want your business run. And I think that's to be applauded. I think that's phenomenal. You knew who you are, you knew who you want, how you want your business to be. You aren't going to let your clients run your business, which is phenomenal because a lot of entrepreneurs don't do that, right? And I kind of remember, and I we started talking about allowing other people to do some of those showings. Now, for those
Yeah.
who
That
aren't,
was hard.
yeah, I know. So I just want to go back. So just explain a little bit about what a showing agent is, because not everybody is from the real
Right.
estate world who's listening. So
Yeah.
give them a little bit of backstory about that.
Yes, so a showing assistant or a showing agent is somebody that can help you show properties to your client, right? So let's say I've already had a consultation with you, Deb, and you say we're on board. Yes, I want to work with you. We've signed all the agreements, everything is on paper. Now it's time for you to go look at properties. And because I was traveling so much, I wasn't always available, or I knew I wasn't going to always be available. So I needed support with that. But also living in Austin, I know a lot of people focus on certain areas or certain neighborhoods because I've worked so much with the Hispanic community, and they were pretty much north of Austin, south of Austin, east of Austin, west of Austin. I wanted to make sure that I had the right support for my clients. And so a showing assistant was somebody that was going to be helping me show the properties. And I did, and I still do. I'm the kind of person that reads all the instruction on the labels. And so I like structure, I like instructions, I like steps, 1 through 100. I'll read them all, and I'll do my best. When I do a recipe, I learn it by following instructions, the recipe itself. And so that was really important. So it was in my mind, and what you helped me do was put it on paper, and so that it was easy to follow and easy for others to follow, which is also so important when you're growing your business, right? To make sure that if somebody else steps into the business, that they can just go and open a book and read it and be able to pick up where you left off. And that was really important to me because of everything else that was going on.
Yeah. And okay, and that's even before the more
Yeah.
recent thing that happened, right?
Yeah.
So we neither of us knew that this was going to be the foundation for something and
Even greater.
God, right?
Yeah.
For something that was going to come next. So I just stay in this moment for 1 second. When we first talked about you not driving more than an hour distance, do you remember?
Oh,
I remember
yeah.
this. I had you draw a circle around where you actually wanted to go, and then we determined together where you felt you were going to have the most support, where it would be the most beneficial. What was that like rub? Like, what was the initial feeling when we started talking about this?
For me, it was like a wall. I was like hitting a wall. What do you mean I'm not going to drive for more than an hour? I do this every day. I mean, I love working with buyers. Absolutely love working with buyers. That also means that I drive more than somebody that maybe just focuses on listings, right? I'm not taking credit away because I do listings too.
Mhm.
But because of how the industry has changed, and in that time, how things were coming, and this whole lawsuit and all these things that were happening in the industry, I would hear a lot of noise around, well, I'm just gonna work with listings and I'm just gonna work. And for me, it was like, give me all your buyers, I'll take them all. And I'm willing to go the distance. And I did. But then I wasn't catering to myself, right? And that's what we wanted to find that balance. And as we've heard it before, it's a counterbalance because there's days when we do have to put in those miles and drive so much. But then there needs to be also a time for me to say, you know what? No, this one is okay. Let it go. I'm gonna get support from another professional that also wants to help.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, at the beginning, it was difficult to let go, even just driving. That was a big challenge for me. Little did I know I wasn't going to be able to drive for a while later on, right?
Yeah, yeah. So things happen for a reason, right?
Yeah.
So, okay. So you have the foundation. Now you have the bandwidth to really expand basically your business and your reach because you have other people in areas that you don't have to
Yep.
drive over an hour to anymore, right? Okay. So then we also did a lot of other SOPs, standard operating procedures. So
Yeah.
Joanne, you had mentioned the recipes, and it's a recipe. It's you have to have every single thing. The checklist has to be there, and you have to follow it. And in scaling, it's got to be duplicatable. I think that's a word. I think I might not have just made that up.
No,
Made
I don't think you made it up.
duplicatable. Okay, scalable, duplicatable,
Yeah.
whatever that is. And then we come to a little bit closer to the current time, maybe go back maybe a year. What's
Yeah, we can go
happening?
back a year.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
share with all of us whatever is, you feel that
Yeah.
beneficial.
I think it's more like a year and a half because I really think all of this, the current situation that I'm in really started in December of 2023. Um, So in December of 2023, my mom was staying with us at home in Austin, and mom had a feeling that my brother needed some help, and I was at an event. I remember I was doing a work event. So part of growing my database and my business was setting up a table, church festivals, city festivals, anywhere where I could just talk real estate to anyone that was willing to have a conversation. And so that weekend, I was at a table at a church festival, and my mom calls me. She's like, "Hey, I'm gonna take off because I think your brother needs some help." And I said, "Sure, mom, whatever you need, let me know. Do you want me to go with you? What do we do?" Fast forward a few hours later, my sister is calling me, and she tells me, "I think you need to come home." And so I took off that afternoon. When I get to my mom and my sister, my brother was in a coma. They had to induce him into a coma medically because he wasn't doing well, and that was the only way to help his body recover. He came out of the hospital a few days later. I stayed there for a few days. Stayed at the hospital with him for I think 4 nights so my mom could get some rest. Eventually, I had to come home, and he was fine, left the hospital. It looked like he was recovering. And then in January 29th of 2024, he passed. Just when we thought that he was recovering, he suddenly passed, and it's been quite a journey since then. That was 2024.
Yeah.
In August of 2024, I get diagnosed with breast cancer. And that just adds to everything that we're going through as a family. We've been a very close family always. And I was still living in Austin at that moment. When I find out, I call my sister, and my sister tells me, "Well, you don't have permission to leave me here by myself now," because we had just lost my brother.
Yeah. It's so
And
eh,
you
tough,
know,
really
it's
tough.
like I'm just starting to grieve my brother again because what I had mentioned earlier, being the oldest and as close as we are and everything that my parents are going through as they're losing their child. I can't even imagine just the thought of it, right? But their grief is different than mine. And so my sister and I take over everything, we take over the funeral arrangements, what happens when somebody dies and there's 401k at his job, what happens with his, tax returns, what happens with you name it. And it's all these things that just pile up on one on top of the other, that we had never been exposed to, that we had never talked about. It's not part of our culture to talk about what happens when you're gone. And so we had to learn really, really fast what to do and how to best support our parents and how to support each other, you know? And so when we get the diagnosis and I call my sister and in a way she said it's a joke, but I knew she was serious too. Like, and I felt that I can't leave her alone. We have so much going on. So my husband and I decide that we're going to travel to go tell my family about it. And we take, I remember very well, it was Labor Day weekend. And we took that time to go visit my family and let them know about the diagnosis. And you can just imagine, because immediately the feeling is we're going to lose another child.
I can't even imagine, Joanna, what was going on in any of your family's hearts and minds at this point.
Yeah. And it's been really, it's been very challenging. Obviously because going through cancer is difficult, but also the emotional aspect of it and seeing how my family has been dealing with it. And then in my mind, choosing, right? Okay, I gotta focus on myself and take care of myself, but I don't want to lose my business. And I still want to be there for my kids. I want to be there for my husband. I want to be there for my sister. I want to be there for my mom. I want to be there for my dad, right?
Yep.
And so it's been quite a journey.
Okay. So thank you for being so vulnerable and sharing with us so openly. I'm sure everyone is taking a breath and is saying a prayer for you and your family right now.
Thank you.
Now you're diagnosed. You start the treatments. And I watched you. You were on Facebook and Instagram, and you walked everybody through what it was like a day in the life to go through what you went through. And everything that you've done has been, well, for me personally, I don't know how other people react, but I can tell you for me, it's been just amazing to me, the inner strength that you have and the fact that you're sharing, because it gives us like an inside, and it's not a judgment of you, it just gives us an inside look at what it really is to go through everything that it entails with going through all of those things that you went through. And then I just, and then you're also still taking care of some family. You've also got your husband. You also moved. Your husband
Yeah,
changed jobs,
yeah,
right? In all of this.
yeah,
Yeah. So, I mean, you
yeah.
know,
Yeah, so when my brother passed, that's why I wanted to go back to that because it's kind of led us to where we at now, for myself and for my family. But when my brother passed, and I continued to travel, checking in on my mom, checking in on my sister, helping where I could, my dad, all these things. My husband and I started talking about what if we moved back home? What if we moved back to McAllen to the Rio Grande Valley? Because our parents are aging, because I'm having to travel a lot, because I want to be there for my family. He's always been extremely supportive, and his parents also live in the area. So it was always coming back home, right? We started talking about it. Then in August, when I get the diagnosis, for me was no more questions. We are moving. Because it was, I don't know how to describe it, Deb, but I automatically knew that it wasn't going to be just me needing the support. It was going to be my children and my husband needing the support. And I have amazing friends in Austin. I have an amazing support system in the office. I'm still part of my Austin office, because they've been so wonderful, right? And at the same time, I knew that what we were going to be needing was to be closer to our family, to the abuela and, and tia and my, my cousins and my kids' cousins. And so I wanted that for them. So my gut said, let's start moving on this. We started looking at homes. I have a friend who's a realtor in the area who's always supported me when we needed something for the family that I couldn't attend to in the valley. And we started looking, my husband started looking at jobs because we were also conscious, like, hey, we're gonna need to keep our insurance, right? We're gonna need support financially and with jobs and everything. So how do we make this transition so that I can focus on my healing and my treatment, and he can continue to work as he's always done. And so one thing just after another, they just started falling in place. We found the house within less than a month. We were under contract in no time. We got a great deal on it. We closed pretty quick. Like everything. My husband had a job within a month. Like everything just started falling into place. So in November, he moves before I do because I wanted to make sure the kids at least finish that first part of the year, the school year. I was waiting for the holiday break for them to be able to finish school and then for us to move. So in November, my husband moves. In November, I have surgery. So I couldn't even lift a box. It was so hard. You know me.
Well, I do, but not everybody listening or watching on
Yeah.
YouTube knows this. So I just to digress for a second. How long did it take for you to ask your kids to take on more of the chores in the house? Do you remember that whole thing we went through?
Oh yeah. I mean, it was automatic.
Yeah.
It was at the beginning,
Like that.
when we had started talking, having a conversation, right? It was like, well, they're so little, right? But it was pretty automatic. The moment I got diagnosed, everything changed.
Yeah.
Everything changed. And yes, there's been so many challenges and it's been very difficult. And I have spent a lot more time away from my family than I had wanted to. And at the same time, we've all learned and grown and gotten closer as a result of all of this. So I am grateful for those good things that have happened as a result of it, because it has been scary, all the thoughts of dying come to you, and did they find everything they were supposed to find? Did they take out everything they were supposed to take out? Is the medicine really working? Am I really gonna start feeling better after all of this is done? Like everything goes through you, and I had the opportunity to be flying for my treatment because driving was not really an option, and it would have taken more people to go with me. So flying was more flexible. And it was also meant less time away from my kids so we moved in November. Now, instead of being 2 hours and a half away from Houston, because I was getting treatment at MD Anderson, now I'm 6 hours away from Houston. And so, we had to really be strategic. What days do I get treatment? What days do I fly? What days do I come back? How many nights do I spend over there? Who's picking up the kids? I've had my friends here now that they're enrolled in school here. And one of my friends is a substitute teacher at the school. We all live within 5 minutes of each other. The school is only 4 minutes away from us. And she gets to pick him up when I can, and there's more people that can support with that. So, our support system just grew. And it's been wonderful in that way.
Nice. It's a
Yeah.
blessing.
Yeah, it really is. It really is.
So you've gone through and you're still have things
Yes.
to do.
Yeah. So after surgery, it takes about 3 months or so to recover from surgery. I had a lot of questions. I'm the one that, like I was saying, back to the instructions, I want to know everything, every little detail. Can I take this vitamin? Yes, no, why not? How is it going to help me? So I had a lot of questions, and I kind of pushed my chemo back a little bit. And that was surprising to some people. Why are you not doing your treatment right away? This is what the doctor is saying. Well, because I want to be confident with my decision, right? I want to be certain that what I'm doing is the best for me. Because let's be realistic, there's nothing, absolutely nothing, and no one that can tell me whether or not cancer is coming back. Now that is the fight or the journey for the rest of my life.
Yeah.
So for me, it's so important that I'm knowledgeable, that I'm an expert in this subject as much as I can, that I learn as much as I can. And so I asked all the questions. So Surgery happened. They wanted me to start chemo in December. And I said, I'm sorry, doctor, that's not going to happen. I'm moving in December. I got kids to pack. I had a few items left in the house. My husband had moved with the first truck and some essentials stayed behind along with my kids and my mom. And so we finished packing and everything. We moved in December. And then something else happened, right? We arrived December 22nd. And on December 23rd, I get a call from my dad and he says, your mom is not feeling well, give her a call. So I call her. She had just left my house, Deb. It had been about 30 minutes since she had left my house that day because we had, got here the day before. And I call her and she says, I started feeling dizzy. I lost my vision for about 10 minutes or maybe, I don't know. She's like, I can't tell you how long it was. My vision is back, but I don't feel great. And I immediately knew that she needed to go to the ER. Something just told me this is not right. I still can't drive because remember, I've just had surgery about a month after. I still can't drive. The kids were already asleep. I wake up, my husband had already gone to bed. So I'm like, we gotta go. Let's go pick up mom. Kids in the car, husband in the car, he's driving. We get to my mom. She seems okay. She's alert. She's walking a little slower. We put her in the car, take her to the closest emergency room. They start doing tests on her and they discover that she had that her brain was bleeding. Her blood pressure was 268. They move her to another hospital. The doctors were waiting already. I call my sister and I let her know. She goes to the hospital. She starts calling of the parents of one of her friends who went through something similar exactly a year before. Exactly to the date, that like on the 23rd of December. So her friend's mom had gone through this. So she talks to the parents of her friend and they say, ask for this doctor, go to this hospital, ask for this doctor, if not that doctor, this doctor. And I'm gonna say by the grace of God, every doctor they recommended was working at the hospital that night. They waited for my mom to arrive. And they told my sister it's gonna be about a 2-hour surgery. I took that time. My husband said, let's go get back home. You need to get some rest. Remember, I'm still recovering. I said, sure, drop off the kids. Let's pick up your mom and you take me back to the hospital because I need to be with my sister. We called my aunt, whoever was able to go and be there with us, we went. And that 2-hour surgery turned into 6 hours. Because what they discovered was that my mom not only had one aneurysm, she has 3. And she spent 40 days in ICU.
Oh my gosh. I didn't realize it was that long. 40 days.
So there goes Christmas, New Year's, her birthday, my birthday, because both of our birthdays are in January. And so I pushed chemo. I started chemo February 3rd, just a couple of days after she had left the hospital. So since February of this year until June, I had chemo, and the doctor had told me, that both doctors, they had told me, you're probably going to start your radiation about 6 weeks after you're done with chemo. And I said, okay, that might put us in through August. I'll have a month off with the kids. School will start. We'll figure out routine. Let's get back on who's going to pick up, schedule the kids while I'm gone, all that stuff. And as soon as I finished chemo, I had my appointment with the oncologist. And she's like, oh, you're doing great. You're ready. Let's go. You're starting chemo. You're starting radiation in 10 days.
Wow.
I was like, what? I wasn't ready for that, but I'm glad it happened that way because I was really worried about starting radiation while the kids were starting their new school year. Because they're still sort of new. They only had half a year at this school, right? And so I wanted to be there with them at least for the beginning of the school year. And thankfully it happened that way. So my mom, the kids, and we moved to Houston for a month. We spent a whole month in Houston. The radiation appointments were very short, so it gave me a lot of time with the kids. Some days I had to rest because that's just part of this. I have to, they've had to learn that mommy doesn't always feel great, even though she doesn't look sick. That's really important.
That must have been really challenging for them to understand that.
Yeah, because What do you mean? You got up today, you're awake, you're not coughing, you're not sneezing, you don't have a fever. So what do you mean you feel sick? You don't have a stomach ache. What do you mean you don't feel great? But there's days when it's hard to get out of the bed. Today I'm having a hard time walking. My feet are hurting a lot. So I'm not walking as much as I normally do because I need to rest.
Yeah. So you
So.
have to honor your body. It tells you what it needs, right?
Oh, of course, all the time. And it speaks very loud. The more I allow it, and that's one thing that I've learned, right? To listen more and more. And the more I allow that to show up and for me to really pay attention to it, the easier it is for me to continue to heal. Because then I can create that space and that time, right? And also not load up with work because that's been another thing. That's that besides the question of how are you doing, how are things going, the next question is, are you still working? Those are
Mhm.
the the top two questions I get asked. Are you still working? And yes, I'm still working. Do I work? Do I hustle like I used to? No, no, because my body can't do it. My mind can't do it. Everything has changed. But I think I've been able to create an environment where I can be more efficient and more effective and still help the people that need help.
It's phenomenal. It's phenomenal. You are an amazing human being. Truly,
Thank you.
truly.
Thank you, Deb.
So and you're smiling and through all of that. So how's your mom doing now?
Thank God she's doing much better. She's recovered. For anybody that is familiar with aneurysms or brain injuries, that's another world that we've learned so much about. And thank goodness for my sister. It's such an amazing support. She's the little one. I always call her the little big sister because she has such a big sister heart, but she's the youngest of us. And we've learned so much through my mom's journey, and she's recovered wonderfully. She's driving. That says a lot. Just
That's huge.
that is huge
Yeah,
because
that's
of
great.
all the things that could have gone wrong as a result of her injury. Just to know that she's able to drive, and yeah,
Yep, that's a
she's
big
a
deal.
strong woman.
So, yeah, the reason and I hope that it's and I appreciate and I hope that that's listening is hearing this. The show is called Entrepreneurial OOMPH. And you never know how that oomph is going to show up.
Oh
And you
yeah,
know what the universe and what life is going to hand you. And the reason why I reached out to you and I'm so thankful that you were gracious and you're sharing your energy with us because this is going to probably hopefully it doesn't exhaust you. You won't need a nap after. It
it's
it
okay. I'm sitting
it's
down. I'll be fine.
okay. As long as you're sitting, we're good.
Yeah, yeah.
The reason why I wanted to reach out to you is because life happens.
Yes.
Life happens. And so it could stop people in their tracks. It could make you pivot, which you did. It can make you have adjustments and think about things more strategically. Like, how do I really prioritize what's the most meaningful and what's the most important to me,
Yeah,
family, and the business comes last. It's faith, family, right? Or
yeah,
family and then faith,
yeah,
depending on who you are. And then the business is the last thing. And
yeah,
yet it's there for us to keep our minds going. It
yeah,
provides income and revenue, and it provides for our family to put food on the table, pay the bills, maybe go on a vacation once in a while, travel
yeah,
expenses.
yeah.
So all of that being said, so now you've got a lot of referral partners and you've got
Yes.
someone else now. So is there if somebody wanted to connect with you, especially from the Hispanic community and especially in whatever area of the country they're in, it really doesn't matter. Uh,
Yeah.
if somebody wants to connect with you, how do they find you?
So you can look for me on social media, online, Johanna Gervais. All of my social media is the same way, Johanna Gervais. You can also reach out to me by phone. I can say my phone number,
Yes, go ahead. Do it
956. Yeah,
slow.
yeah.
Wait, do it slow, like someone's
Okay.
writing, okay?
Of course. I'm gonna give you time to write it down. Get a pen and paper.
Go ahead.
Save it on your phone. That is 956-624-0680. And I do service all the way from Austin to South Texas to the Rio Grande Valley. Hablo español. También hablo español. And so yeah, and I appreciate the opportunity because I still love real estate. Somebody asked me the other day, do you think you'll ever do something different, like not do real estate anymore? And the answer is no. Real estate changed my life, you know, and I tell the story sometimes how after my very first real estate class, I knew my life was gonna be changed forever. And it was kind of like a running joke between my husband and I because I kept telling him, I said, just wait, you know, wait 2 years and we're gonna do this and wait. And he wasn't a believer at the beginning. And eventually, you know, he became a believer. But you know, and so now when I told him, hey, I just had a closing, what do you mean you're not working? I'm like, I'm always working in a way, right? Now it's just, it looks a little different. Now it looks a little different because even my daughter, so my daughter's 9 and when I started real estate, she was only, you know, almost 3 years old. My son was not even almost a year old when we started real estate. And so they've grown up in this industry with me. And so when I told my daughter also the other day, you know, mommy just had a closing. She's like, but I just told my friends you don't have a job.
Well, right.
I
So now
said,
it looks different.
yeah, it's thanks to the referral partners. I have amazing support system in my Austin office. I you know, and that's why I can do what I continue to do because of them, you know, and so I'm very blessed, and that's where the smile comes from, Deb, really, because time and time again, God, the universe, life shows me that in the middle of the chaos and the hardships that we've endured, there's still love and there's still joy and there's still reasons to smile.
Yep. That I was just going to ask you for a takeaway, but I think you just gave it to us. That was
Maybe.
it. Unless there's something else that you want to share, just as a last, nugget of something, a thought.
You, you know, you said it earlier, life happens, right? Life continues to happen, but life happens in moments. And I think if we remember that the difficult times, the difficult moments are not forever, but the happy moments and the joyful moments are not forever either. And so I think that if we keep that on the top of our mind and we remember that, then the hardships don't feel as bad and the good moments can be more enjoyable and you can feel more grateful for them as well.
Well, that's beautiful. Thank you so much. I so
Thank you.
appreciate you.
I appreciate you.
Oh my goodness, it was so wonderful to have this conversation. Thank you for sharing your story and your journey. And we are all going to continue keeping track of you. I stalk you a little bit on Instagram
That's
and
okay.
on Facebook. I think it's called stalking. I don't know, but I
It's all
do.
right.
I do watch you,
I
and
like talking about it. You know, I like talking about all of this because we all learn from each other.
yeah.
That's what it is, you know? And so
You are a gift. You are a gift and a blessing to the human beings on this earth, and I think everybody should take a lesson from your page. Yep, absolutely, 100%. Because
thank you, Deb.
when it comes to what's important and where we put our priorities, man, you are the walking, you are it. You're it. You're it.
Thank you, Deb.
You're welcome. All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us for another episode of Entrepreneurial OOMPH. Thank you so much, Johanna Gervais, for sharing with us. Please like, subscribe, share. You can find our podcast on iTunes, on YouTube channel, on iHeartRadio, on Spotify. We're all over the place. Just look for Entrepreneurial OOMPH or just put in OOMPH with Debra Pearlman and it should come up in the algorithms, the SEO. And if you subscribe, you will be helping us to get higher rankings when you do that search. So thank you in advance for all of that. And thank you again, Joanna, and God
Thank
bless
you.
everybody. Thank you.
Thank you.
Gotta love, gotta love, gotta